Good morning. Okay, I don't know whether it's going to be morning or afternoon by the time that you see this video. However, and I did shoot two in one day. Like I just shot one, I uploaded it, it's going to go live. But this video right here, I am not going to make it I'm going to upload it, but I'm not going to publicize it for a few days probably. Or maybe tomorrow. I might pop it up there tomorrow. So, going back to the video that I just did. So, for those of you that might be new to my channel, welcome to Meditations with Marini. And thank you so much for joining my channel. You guys, I have a personal goal that I'm trying to reach for subscribers. And if you don't mind, if you've been following me for a moment, please click like. Share this with a friend. Today we're going to be talking about what would Jesus do? WWJD. At one time we were all wearing that and seeing it on everything. And then if you would subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the algorithms and how YouTube push your videos out. When you have people that like it, when people make comments on it, you're communicating back and forth. They want to see that in the algorithms. But I want to talk about what would Jesus do? What do you do when no one is watching? I didn't look up a scripture or anything to go with this, a basis for it. But I was in, if you go back and you look at my video, there's one that I posted and it's called Train Up a Child. And in that video is talking about training up your children. It's coming from Proverbs 22. And when I started reading Proverbs 22, King Solomon was such a wise man. He had so much wisdom to pass on to others, even in spite of his own faults and his own deficiencies. I think sometimes in Christianity, what I have learned is that people were shooting for perfection versus purpose. Oh, that was good. People are shooting for perfection versus purpose. Walk in your purpose, and your purpose will push you towards being more perfected in God. It won't push you to a perfect place, but it will push you to being perfected in God. And I'm going to tie that into what would Jesus do? So today, this morning, I went to the grocery store. There's some right there, some of the groceries that I got. And when I got outside, I rung up my groceries myself. And when I finished, I moved them around in the basket. And when I finished, I walked out. The lady looked at me. Like literally, she looked at me. You know, normally they ask for your receipt. I had my receipt in my hand. And she looked at me. And she looked at my buggy. And I walked right out the store. And when I got to my car and I finished unloading the groceries, up underneath the groceries, I had forgot to ring up these oranges. I had forgotten to ring up these grapes. And when I saw that, immediately, I didn't think, go ahead and put it in my car and I'm going to go. Immediately, I thought, man, I got to go back in here so I can pay for this. And immediately, God gave me this message for whomever is listening. What would Jesus do? What would you do when you are faced, and not just in that circumstance, but what do we do when nobody is watching? It is not what we do that is a representation to the world. It is what we do when we are in our own silent closet. I knew that, and I do this all the time. When I get to the car and I see something that I didn't pay for, I'm going back in to pay for it. I don't care if it was $2, if it was $1. I am not going to put that in my car and consciously take that home and enjoy it. And so as I was walking back into the store, I like to make sure that I'm offering some fun sometimes to you guys. But I was thinking, them grapes just wouldn't be graping. Those oranges just won't be oranging. I would not be able to enjoy the fruit of my labor if I did not go back in there and pay for those items. And when I went back in, I'm going to tell you, the lady who was standing at the door is interesting because it's almost like it was a test. The way that God set it up. Look, I tell you, literally, she was looking at me as I was walking out the store. And I would have thought that she would have seen the items that were not in the bag. But the way I kind of had it sitting, I had sat some bags on top of the product. So even though it was outside of a bag and you could see it there, you couldn't see it. And then when I walked back in the store, she looked at me, but she never looked at the buggy to see that I already had product in the buggy. She just said, "Good morning," like I was coming in for the first time. And I just went right on past her. I walked on over to the register, and I went ahead and paid for these items. Now, those items came up to $10.35, right? And I want you to understand that biblical principles. I'm a tither. I'm a giver. And I give to people. Sometimes people think about tithing only being in the formation of money. It's not just money. It's your time, your talent, and your service. And so I tithe, yes, in reference to tithing as a general tither, but I also give in other areas. And I know that oftentimes God will bless me. There will be people that will walk up to me and say, "Here, the Lord told me to purchase your lunch." Or I might go in a restaurant to get something and somebody will send me a thing and say, "Your meal has already been paid for." I might get to the gas pump and they will say, "Your gas is already, $20 was already paid for you." There have been things that I have benefited from that perspective. And when I was tested this morning, what would Jesus do? I could have easily put those items back in my car and I could have drove right on off and nobody would have ever known it but me. But I knew it. My inner core would not have allowed me to go and do that. And I'm saying that to you guys because on my channel, as we are talking about marriage and relationship, you must look at the core of a person. What are their characteristics? Because it is not so much that one person is better or good, or I can't say gooder because that's not a word. One person is better than another. It is their decision that when they are faced with challenging times, that they make a decision that I will not cross that line. That they make a decision that I choose my wife. That they make a decision that I choose my husband. That they make a decision that the inner core of them would not be able to sleep in the same bed with somebody and they know they just slept with somebody else that was not their husband or their wife. The inner core of them would not be able to allow them. Now, does that mean that we're not going to fall into temptation? No. The temptation was for me to not go back in and pay for these groceries. So the temptation was presented, and it was for me to respond to how I was going to deal with that circumstance. So I want to make sure, especially from a Christian standpoint, like I remember just growing up, people saying, be holy. I did a video most recently about your outer adornment. What you look like on the outside does not make a difference if your inside is rotten. It does not matter. And I could have easily walked away and nobody would have known that I took those items without paying for them but me. But I also understand in kingdom principles and understand to whom much is given, much is required. That test right there, with what I know I have coming down the pipeline and what God is working on me with, what is coming forth on June 1st. June 1st is just the beginning of what God is getting ready to do in my life. This is one of the components that he is going to do in my life that is going to propel me to my divine purpose. So my purpose is even greater than what I'm working on right now. So this test this morning, I already know that was just a droplet that the enemy put out there to see how I'm going to respond. This channel is driven by what God is placing in my spirit for the people that will see, that will hear, and that will be empowered to do better, to be better, to grow, to develop, to stretch, to move beyond their human capacity and step into their spiritual divinity. It is going to be for them to be able to make a significant change in this world. And God is using little things like whether or not we pay for our groceries when we know that we didn't pay for that as a tester. He is allowing us to be tested. Remember a few weeks ago I talked about Job, and I know last year, I'm going to see if I can pull my videos from Facebook when I used to go live. I'm going to see if I can pull them down somehow and even incorporate them into my thread here, because I think many of them are so relevant. But last year in July, when the Lord showed me the scripture where it talked about Job was when Jesus was in the room with the men, and no, the Lord was in the room with the men, and it said that Satan was right there. Satan was right there. He is there every time that God gives you an assignment. Satan is right there. He's saying, let me tempt them and see how I can get them off track. And many times we might fall for that. But we got to remember that we can be like the prodigal son. We can come back home. And when we come back and we got a pure heart and we really mean what we say, God will He'll wash all that old stuff away. The dry eraser board that we use in the classroom, it is created so that the marker can mark on the board. But then you can take a rag and just wipe it all away. You can get rid of all of that. And that's exactly what God does as we continue to grow in Him. So I just wanted to pop on and ask you, what would Jesus do? If you are faced with an obstacle and you are faced with a challenge, and some challenges are little, like this is a little challenge. This is a $10 challenge. But what this tells God is that He can trust me with the $100 challenge, that He can trust me with the $1,000 challenge, that He can trust me with the $100,000 challenge. He can trust me with the $1 million challenge. Now, we are only going to be given what we can handle. And the more that you're able to handle, then the more that He can give you. And again, I'm not talking about monetary things, because I feel that I'm way more rich in spirit than I am in my financial components. I mean, if I really had what I wanted in life, right now, I was talking to a friend today, and just how God showed me, just in talking with that friend, I was telling him about the vision that I have and what's coming forth. And he said, Mary, make me a part of it. Yes, I want to be a part of that. And I was like, man, God, I was trying to figure out how I was going to incorporate people. And He called me this morning about something different. And when we started talking about it, I began to tell him about the vision. And he said, I want to be a part of it. So God will send you what you need when you're walking out what you're supposed to be walking out. Just remember, what would Jesus do? When you are faced with an obstacle today, if you want to cuss, just bite your tongue and say, what would Jesus do? If somebody cut you off today and you want to get upset and start blowing your horn, just pause for a second and say, what would Jesus do? If somebody gets on your nerve when you get to the house, don't fuss, don't argue, don't cuss. Just say, what would Jesus do? And if you're faced with a small task, such as going back into the store, it was an inconvenience because I didn't feel like doing it. But I knew that I wasn't going to leave there without making sure that I did the right thing, because that is the core of who I am. It is the foundation of what I believe that God tests us with, and He gives us the opportunity to choose. So with that being said, I'm going to ask that if you enjoyed this video, I want for you to click like. I would love for you to share it with a friend, and I would be absolutely thrilled if you would subscribe and become a partner with me on my channel. The last thing that I want to say, this hat right here, if you go back and look at my video where I have on this same matching outfit, and that video is talking about train up a child, this hat was given to me by my son Jeremiah, whom I'm speaking about in that video. And it was given to me after he had gone to camp one year, and he got in trouble at the camp, and he bought me this hat as an apology. And I remember as a child, he said to me, Mommy, I know you're disappointed in me, and I know that it made you sad that the camp had to call you. He said, but I bought you that hat, and it's your favorite color. And this hat means the world to me. When I say the world to me, because in his humble way, that was a child's way of apologizing, and that was a child's way of letting me know that he was not going to do that again. But I get to carry this piece of him with me every time that I put this hat on. And so I wanted to say that to you, because we are impressionable to our children. And we have to remember that we have to always be thinking about, what would Jesus do? My baby was able to bring me this hat because he's watched me walk out my life before him. And in that, he was then showing his own um, sacrificial offering to me to say that, Mommy, I'm sorry and I won't do that again. So that was just a little nugget for anybody I don't know who might have needed that, to know that it's okay to let your kids apologize, and it's okay to let them know that it's okay to make mistakes. But for me, it was a bigger understanding that he knew to try to reconcile that and make it right. So as we talk more and we continue to grow together, just remember, what would Jesus do? If you get to the car and you got some grapes and you got some oranges that you didn't pay for, are you going back in to pay for it? Or are you just going to pop it in the car and keep rolling? All right, just food for thought, y'all. Have a good day.